Hey y'all, let me just get started today by saying I live in a neighborhood and it looks like our neighbors are adding on to their house or doing some big construction project. So I don't know how many of my videos from here on out will have some banging in the background, and I apologize for that. I wish that I lived out on acreage and on a big estate and had all the room and the quietness that I long for, but that's just not the case in my life right now. So I hope that y'all will excuse it and give me a little grace with the things that I can't control, which is the noise in my neighborhood. And hopefully we'll still get to have a good conversation. So I found myself asking the other day, is my garden a fail this year? Did I fail miserably at maintaining my garden? And I realized that I asked that question last year too, I think. And so I wanted to get on here and share with y'all my thoughts about that and how, when it gets hot and everything is really tired and the bug pressure and the fungal issues is immense, that is just, I guess, the way that I'm going to feel about it, because we have this picture in our mind of what our gardens are going to look like, and I'm pretty sure that everybody's garden looks perfect in their mind. Nobody envisions one that is looking the way that ours does right now. The 2025 garden for me will be known as the year of immense amount of water, some really unusual fluctuant temperatures, and because of that, these are the things that I've got to address and figure out for 2026. So I've showed y'all before, these are the naked legs of my butterfly bushes. They have had just way too much rain as part of it. They've had too much irrigation as another part of it. And because of that, I also lost a couple of agastache or agastaki, however you pronounce it back here, because they want dry soil. So if you have that, I definitely would recommend that plant for you, agastache or agastaki, for you to check out. But I want to talk just a little bit more about these butterfly bushes. I want y'all to look at all the new growth. And I just don't know about y'all, but that, and I've told y'all before, that brings me just so much joy, because one, it shows me how resilient plants can be. That we do worry and we try our best to take care of them, but they most of the time will bounce back if you make the adjustments necessary. So the things that we did was we cut back or totally turned off our irrigation for a while and just kind of let things dry out a lot. We have clay soil, which also holds the moisture, and I can't do anything about the clay soil. I mean, it's just where we live at. But you do have to be knowledgeable enough to know what that means, and that means that it takes a lot longer for our soil to dry out. So if we get a good rain like we did yesterday, and our rain gauge doesn't show we got any, but I was outside and saw it. It was raining sideways. So I had said then, the rain gauge isn't going to show anything because the rain isn't falling into the gauge. It's going into the side of the gauge. And so I knew that I didn't need to come out this morning and water anything. And I'm not always the best at that. We kind of love our plants to death with water. But when you have clay soil, you have to be really careful with that. So I want to talk about these phlox. I'm still not 100% sure what is going on with them. I do know they looked this way last year. And so I don't know if it's a fungal issue. I think it's a bug issue. But I'm not really sure where all the yellowing is coming from. And I'm showing y'all these things because, number one, I'm wanting to make a good document of what exactly is struggling and how it's struggling. I found myself yesterday kind of so discouraged that I went back and was watching my videos from earlier this spring. And what I saw in that was, wow, how far the garden has come this season. How much growth and maturity the plants have put on. But also, it reminded me how fresh everything looked at the beginning of the season. Y'all, even the sedum is having a bad day. But again, if you'll look at the base, it's trying to put on some new growth. And it's not the only one. So Something weird is happening. This is a sedum that got put in last fall. It looks different. They're both supposed to be autumn joy sedum, but it looks different than the other sedum that I have here on the other side of this viburnum. Which looks fine for the most part. The Amsonia back here is struggling really bad. I think it got some rust, but we're trying to take care of it. And I've showed y'all before, this is the Augusta Lavender Heliotrope that we moved a couple weeks ago, and it's looking better than it did a couple weeks ago. Again, those things give me hope, but they still look really bad. So we'll see how those come about, but there's a little update on that. Again, finding the issues within your garden and making adjustments. Don't just leave it. Try to see what you can do to improve the situation. And here's our hibiscus plant, still with no buds or blooms. I know this is a bug issue, and I also know that it gets a lot of water. We put it here because hibiscus typically like a little bit of a bog situation, but our downspout is right here, and our air conditioner drainage comes out in this bed, and so it may just be too much water on top of the bug issue. If I lose this plant, I wouldn't be totally upset, because like I said, it was a problem-solving plant, not because I thought that it was part of the design or part of the look that I was wanting to go for. But I will say the blooms are amazing, and they really are very pretty. So this is the Beyond Midnight Caryopteris, which should be in its prime this time of year. We've lost one, and this one is on its way out too, it looks like. I thought they were coming back. I showed y'all in the full bloom that they were starting to bloom back out again, so I was excited. And then literally within like a day or so, this is what has happened. All right, so I'm showing y'all these things as well because you need to be a student of your garden. You need to not only say, oh, it died, if you can, figure out why it died so that you can make adjustments and changes. I know that this bed, this is just to the right of our pergola and swing here, this is probably the wettest part of our garden. I know that the Caryopteris does not like to be have wet feet, and so most likely the problem is just too much moisture. Again, we had cut the drip trying to let things dry out when this happened, so I'm not really sure. And we had not gotten any rain at the time. We did get a rain shower last night, but before it had started looking this way. So I'm not really sure what else to do other than know that I can't put Caryopteris back in this same exact spot. Now I can move it down here to the right a little bit. It's much drier. It gets a little bit low in spots, and I guess it just holds the water. I'm not really sure why. I'm not good at figuring that out, but I do know that it is wet. Unfortunately, most everything except for this bee balm here and the blueberry bush, we moved it here and it's loving its spot. This is actually the Sky Dew Gold. It's supposed to be chartreuse. The red though is supposed to be its fall color, and it's looked like that pretty much the whole season. So I think that's stress. The gold color is fine. That's the way it's supposed to look, but it has liked its spot here, the more sun and the wetter conditions. Again, I'm so sorry for all the construction noise. Everything else that I have planted here, the Gara, the yarrow, and I think there's some sedum back here, they all like dry conditions. So I've got to figure out what to do with this area, and know that those things they're going to struggle a little bit if I keep them here. So make sure you learn about your plant type, what kind of water conditions it likes, but then also what you have going on in your own garden. Does it have a lot of sun? Does it have afternoon shade? Does it have too much moisture? And so you need to pick plants accordingly. Also, I don't know if y'all can see if it's on camera, but I am being attacked by swarms and swarms of gnats and bugs, because like I said, it's August in Georgia, and that's what you get. And I'm coated down with bug spray, and it is not doing not even a little bit of help. And these are double play blue kazoo spirea. And y'all know I love the double play doozy that we have. These guys, on the other hand, they have struggled. We moved them. We had them in sun because the tag said they liked full sun. But I realized that full sun in Georgia is not the same as the full sun up north. And so we moved them into some shade, and then we lost some trees that was providing that shade, and we tried shade cloth and that didn't do anything. So now we have them moved underneath these maple trees, which does provide a good amount of shade, but they get afternoon sun. Not a lot, it's dappled, but evidently enough to where they just do not like it. And as bad as I hate it, because there is new growth here on the tips, and they looked really amazing this year, and I thought, okay, we had found the spot for them. This was going to be it, and they were going to thrive here. I don't want something right here in the front of my bed looking like this for multiple months of the year. And I know that the one over here in the back, so it's in a lot more shade. So it's not even just a sun issue. I think it may be a humidity issue as well. Let me zoom in so you can see it. Again, some plants are just not meant to live in other areas of the U.S., and this may be one of them that they really should not be. They could be fine that they're a zone 8, but they shouldn't be zone 8 high humidity, if that makes sense. So when you live in a suburban environment, everybody does the same kind of cookie cutter plants, which is why I was telling y'all that it's really hard to find some unique plants that aren't Loropetalum, or for a while it was Indian hawthorn. Lately it's been Dystillium or limelight hydrangeas. Those are pretty easy to come by, and azaleas. Anyways, you put those things into your landscaping around your house and maybe under some pine trees, and pretty much that's the way your landscape looks for the next 40 years. It is very stagnant and it doesn't change, and people like that because they're like, oh, I don't have to put any effort into it and I can keep a nice lawn instead, because they're limited in their time or whatever reason. But when I decided that I wanted something different, I knew there were hundreds of thousands of different plant species out there, and I had seen them in other people's yards, mainly up north. I had thought, oh, I want to give that a try. I want to see if I can figure that out. And so I started on this adventure and started first consulting our landscaper friends, asking them for help. And then I realized, after having spent a good amount of money, but then putting in a bunch of plants that didn't work, was not exactly what I wanted. Even though I had been very detailed in what I was wanting, I realized they kind of only know what they know, the things that they do quite often. And this style garden is not something that landscapers put in. So I took from that and learned and started just studying different types of plants. And so our garden is not stagnant, and that's something I'm having to learn, is that we're not going to put it in and then it look like this year after year after year for a very long time. Now, there are some things like this viburnum here in the back, and of course the trees, this Japanese maple. I'm wanting those to kind of be mainstays, them to be the anchors. You can even see back here, see I'm trying new things. Y'all have probably seen this a couple of times, but this is our windy blue spruce back here in the back. But back to what I was saying is, you can't be so upset with your garden every year, because it having problems and struggles, the opportunity for you to learn more about your garden, to learn more about what would work next time. And it also means just that you're not going to be stagnant in the way that your garden looks. And so that's one of the fun things about getting to document it like I am, is that I'll look back at this one day and be like, oh yeah, I remember when we had those plants, or when it looked that way, or when they're that small. And I can be really proud of what it looks like in the current times as well. So yeah, I could focus in on this Scentlandia and how it's all speckled up with some kind of, I don't know, fungal situation. Or at this bloom-struck hydrangea that is absolutely riddled with black spot. and think, hey, yeah, I failed at gardening this year. But the truth of the matter is that there's always next year, and that gives me so much hope. And there's so many gardening metaphors out there that you can transfer into your personal life. Because if you have something to hope for, it's really hard to be upset about today. So I hope that y'all have hope in your life. Anyways, we're just starting to retune things, getting ready for the fall season. We have some really exciting plans coming up. So yeah, I don't necessarily love how 2025 has been as a whole. It's been quite a struggle here in the garden. But there are some great things, like this Kaleidoscopobilia has put on so much growth, and it looks great, all three of them. So don't be afraid to get out, kind of like an artist does, where they take a canvas and they use white paint and just whitewash over their canvas and start fresh again. Find the ways in which you may want to start fresh and start putting that into place for 2026 to be an awesome gardening year. I hope y'all found this helpful. I hope that if you're struggling in your garden in any way, that you can find hope that next year can be different, that you become a student of your garden. You figure out what changes you may need to make. Maybe you need to pre-treat for some bug issues, or maybe you need to be more conscientious of what areas of your garden have more water or are super dry and need plants that love those things. I would love to hear what you think about your gardening and things that you're wanting to change and are expecting to look different for 2026 than 2025. And I hope to see y'all soon.